Okay, today we are playing a game on Numbani. We are in the Platinum SR range, and we will be playing Moira the entire way through. And our current team composition, if he'd put it somewhere you could actually see it, Reinhardt, D.Va, Genji, Junkrat, Moira, and Mercy. So, it's a little awkward when your healers are like Moira and Mercy, or like Moira and Ana, or Mercy and Ana. Basically any combination of the main healers, because if you don't have one of the off healers, it tends to be slightly harder for you to kill people, because the things that Zenyatta and Lucio do is they help you kill people. But also, Sound Barrier and Transcendence are like two of the best defensive ultimates in the game. So if you don't have one of those, it tends to be very easy for you to get murdered by like Tac Visor or Dragon Blade, or Graviton in the case of Transcendence being the thing that Zenyatta has with his ultimate. Other than that, not that much to say, other than if they have a Pharah, we're going to be a little bit upset about it, but like, Moira, D.Va, and Genji are like all okay at dealing with Pharah, so it might not even end up being that much of an issue, really. Now, before we go any further, longtime watcher, Radon is online, has sent us a picture before. It was my birthday yesterday. Yes, it's April 1st now. It was my birthday yesterday, and she sent me another picture today, which we will share with everyone. Oh God, oh Jesus, oh no. And yes, I am very upset that this is weaker than an obese man drinking lemonade. So thank you for that. Radon also had, is it Radon or is it Radon? Like, I need to know. Radon also has a YouTube channel, which I will link to in the description. It is similarly about Overwatch, so it is probably relevant to your interests if you are here today. Now, in the email as well, I know there's a lot of preamble today. There were a couple of questions. One is like relevant to stat related, and it kind of makes more sense to talk about at the end of the video. The other one is, in general, what can I work on to bring my win rate back above 50%? And there's kind of like a whole thing in here for context. I mean, the unfortunate answer is there's no way to cheat that, right? This is the thing with all kinds of stats. Once your win rate in general, or with a hero, goes negative, it takes a long time usually to get it back up to positive again. Unless it's a difference of like 2 or 3 games, in which case it's not such a big deal. But like once your stats go negative, it takes a long time to get it back up to positive again. Especially when you account for how fucking trash the Overwatch community is. Because then, you got these people, because you can just look at anybody's career profile with no strings attached. They look, and they see, nah, he's playing that hero, but he's got a 49% win ratio. Oh, he's throwing the fucking game, and then the cycle continues. The unfortunate answer is you just gotta play a lot of games. There's like no way to cheat that. Once your stats go negative, it's a lot of effort to get them positive again. And there's really nothing you can do to accelerate it. The part of the context here is that you tried to pick a bunch of different heroes, and then in the end just went fuck it and just locked in Moira regardless of map or team comp. That's like honestly exactly what I would recommend doing. Because if you are really good at a couple of things, that's usually better than just being average at a bunch of things. So even if Moira doesn't fit ideally within the team comp or on the map, like Numbani, or like right now we're on Numbani, which is traditionally viewed as a bad Moira map, and we also already have Mercy on our team, so we're stacking main healers. But if you're just really good at Moira, that's better than you picking Zenyatta, who you're only average at. Just like, you know, if you want to be like the really flexible player, that's one thing. Like, more power to you, but that's a lot of effort. If you're just really good at a couple things, you'll probably win more often. Because this is just like how human nature is, really. And all of the heroes play so differently that you can't realistically play a very wide selection of heroes to the same degree. This is why people usually focus on, like, one role. Like, I can play all of the tanks with the exception of Zarya to a competent level. And DPS, nah, there's like fucking 76 DPS heroes in this game. Oh, it's just a random number, but it was funny because Soldier's 76. I can't play like any of them. I can play Reaper and I can play Soldier, and that's like it. You just like focus on a couple things, and you'll honestly climb faster than if you try and play like a bunch of things. So now that we're finally done with all that, let's start the game. As you can see, this is a long game. We're gonna play a couple rounds on Numbani. I clicked on it, it didn't fucking start because my mouse is broke as hell. It's alright, I ordered a new mouse. It's got like 9 buttons on it, so it's gonna be a significant improvement over the 7 buttons that this one has. I use none of them, actually, though. Like, you know, get one of those fucking MMO mice that's got like a whole fucking keyboard on the side of the mouse. Use none of the buttons. Not worth it. It's too much effort. Fucking gotta bind shit to all of them. Oh god, maniacs. Alright, so we're defending Numbani first, which is sometimes easy, sometimes really hard. Depends on how it goes. So over here, we can see that Reinhardt has been pushed to his death by Doomfist. So we've lost our main tank immediately, and now we're looking for Doomfist because we know he's lurking behind us. We threw an orb in the room, and it's just kind of been bullying him the entire time, so... Like, I just want you to appreciate how sad this Doomfist's death was, right? Like, he just punched Reinhardt to his death. He was feeling good about that. And then he just sat in the closet getting bullied by Moira's orb for 5 minutes and then came back out to die. You're in this tiny room and the orb just comes in. You're like, oh god, no, it does 200 damage. It's gonna kill me. So even though we lost our main tank immediately, it's ended up converting into nothing because the entire enemy team just kind of died. So, no issue. Here's a thing with Moira on Numbani. You can just straight fade jump to that other roof, and it's like no issue. Like, you just fade jump, you get to the other roof, and you can get back over here again. So if somebody's hanging out over there and they need healing, like Genji's got mobility, so it's not so much of an issue for him. Suddenly this has gotten like drastically louder. Hold on, let me just turn that down. Genji's got mobility, so obviously it's no issue for him. But sometimes you'll see like a soldier or McCree sitting over there and they get fucked up. You can just fade jump to the other roof and then back across again if you need to heal the person. We also have Mercy, so it's less of an issue, but sometimes the other healer is Lucio, so like you might need to get across there and heal them. We've thrown the villain orb. Why have we done this? No, unnecessary. Reinhardt's going in there, he's not actually that hurt going in. And we've got like, oh, we are kind of low on resources, I suppose. This is like that's like a valid case for using the orb if you are low on resource at the time, because you can throw the healing orb out and then try to drain somebody to recharge your resource while the healing orb is doing its thing. In general, we haven't managed our resource very well over this period, because you'll notice that not really very much has been happening this whole time, but we've still run really low on resource all the same. If not much is happening, you can just sprinkle people for like half a second, and that's good enough. Like, not much real fighting has honestly happened yet. So, people gathered up over there, and then got Meteor Struck, that's the ability name. Doomfist is actually a lot better now that they fixed, like, all of the bugs that were going on. Like, I've actually played a few games of Doomfist and not lost. Isn't it incredible? He's actually, like, playable, finally, now that he actually operates. Incredible, isn't it? Once a hero doesn't have, like, 19 separate bug reports attached to them, less of an issue. Might have been more than that. I think it was actually like 26 or 27, so it was like obscene. So some of them were just so basic. Like if you uppercut, sometimes you couldn't just like go forward with the rocket. It was so stupid. Anyway. So, Earth Shatter, hard to react to, but it is something you need to be ready to react to as Moira. I find it easier to go off of the audio cue than actually watching Reinhardt. Just as soon as I hear hammer, I'm like, I'm pushing the shift key now. In general, you're playing Moira, there's a Reinhardt on the enemy team, just be ready to slap the fade key at like a moment's notice, because you can dodge it. Like, you just have to it's a bigger window to react to it than you think it is. It's just like, once you get used to watching for the Reinhardt doing it, it's not so much of an issue. You do need to be ready to do it. So we started losing this fight, like, really badly. And there's not much you can do to swing it around as Moira if your team already starts losing, because Moira's thing is that she does, like, a lot of fucking healing, right? She's like a big healer. But if your team are already dead, you can't heal. Push up. Fucking, what are you talking about? What do you want to go sit outside their fucking spawn? What's this boy's name? I can't see it. I'm fucking colorblind as hell. What's his name? Dead Tran? Dead Train? Dead Fran. Ah, okay. Ducking Dead Fran over here is like, push up. What, you want to just start fighting them out there inside their spawn? That's not usually a recommended maneuver. So, Doomfist is using Rocket Fist, which is scary because we had just used, Fade, but it ended up not mattering because he didn't actually come for us. So we use Coalescence here. Not really necessary because we've just seen that Genji killed Mercy and Hanzo, so they lost their main healer and one of their DPS. We're looking to win that fight regardless at that point, so probably didn't need to use Coalescence. The intention might have been to try and keep Mercy alive. Just, like, fade up to the person and try and heal them. Like, we can already see that not much is really happening. I didn't even know they had a Lucio, to be fair, so... No, we could have seen... Well, the dragon's in the way. Whatever. Don't get pushed off edges. Ooh, that's why I get paid the big money. We already knew no one was around, really, because we just saw half their team get killed. So we could have just fade up to the Mercy and try to heal her with the left click instead, or, like, throw an orb at her. Using the ult to try and keep one person alive is usually not a super good use of company resources. You know, Mercy's pretty important, but it's like, we're still a main healer, right? So it's not the end of the world if Mercy dies. Like, it used to be terrible if Mercy died. Like, Mercy was worth far more than you as the other main healer originally, but we are finally at a point in Overwatch where Mercy is no more valuable than another main healer. So, well, unless it's Ana. So Reinhardt's using Hammer Down. Again, you gotta be ready. He even, like, gives you extra time on this one, because he jumped, I'm pretty sure, to do it. You don't want to jump when you're using Hammer Down, because it gives the enemy team more time to react. Yeah, he jumped while he was doing it as well, so he even gave you more time to react. Don't jump if you're going to use Hammer Down. Like, you don't want to give the enemy team more time to react than you need to. God, I played against this one Zenyatta the other day. Like, he was, like, very clearly a Smurf, because I was on a Smurf, and he would, like, this was in Platinum, but the dude was a fucking god. Like, every time I tried to use Earth Shatter, he's just, nope, fucking Transcendence immediately, and would actually, like, I try to pin someone, so I'm like, alright, I'm gonna kill somebody through the Transcendence. He actually moves forward to take the pin in Transcendence, and I'm like, he's an actual fucking god. Like, can't actually convert any kills off of the Earth Shatter, because this guy's got the reactions and game sense of a god. It was very upsetting. He was clearly a Smurf. I, like, don't see people that good in Masters. Like, he was very obviously a fucking Smurf. And it was very, very upsetting to me. There's no real point to what I was talking about. I was just upset about it, so I wanted everybody to know that I was upset, because I'm that kind of guy. So they got it to the end of the street phase. Who would have fucking guessed that they'd get it to the end of the street phase on Numbani? That's fucking unheard of, isn't it? I know. So we got Coalescence built up again. It's kind of one of those ultimates, you know? So, Reinhardt's used Earth Shatter, so we don't have to worry about that one for a little while now, though Earth Shatter does build up really quickly. So we just decide to use Coalescence right here, and there's not that much reason to. They do kind of look like they're about to commit to the fight, but, like, not much was really happening. Like, I would have held Coalescence for a little bit longer, because it's just like, Mercy was already using Valkyrie, and... like, it was just Doomfist really trying to do stuff, so I wasn't, like, I'm not overly concerned about that. Granted, we can just kind of go in and commit to the fight with Coalescence going and try to kill out their momentum, which is exactly what happens, though I don't think Coalescence was necessary to make this happen. But, at the same time, Coalescence is one of those ults where, you just want to use it at the first good opportunity so you can start charging the next one, because that's the whole... If the main benefit of your ult is that you charge it quickly, you gotta use that thing a lot to benefit from that. So we, like, I don't know why we fade like this. This is very, very scary. You should not do this, because, like, I guess we fade because, like, we kind of want to try and kill Lucio, or maybe because Diva spooked us, but, like, we just fade directly. He's got Earth Shatter again, look at that. We just fade, like, way close to the enemy team for no reason, and we almost got hit by Earth Shatter as well, and if we didn't use fade, we would have it to react to. We just faded, like, real close to them for, like, no reason. Nothing was happening. I guess it looked like it was to try and kill Lucio, but I'm not sure. Either way, we shouldn't have done that. That's scary. You are really easy to kill when fade is on cooldown, because that's kind of all Moira has. You can, like, throw the healing orb and try to survive your way through it, which will work, depending. But if your fade's on cooldown, and the enemy team sees that you've used fade badly, they will just commit really hard to you and kill you. Assuming they're playing well, which we should always assume the enemy team is going to do. We should always assume the enemy team is going to play well until we see otherwise. Because any play that revolves around the enemy team being bad is itself a bad play. So Winston's fucking going in right now. He's using Primal Rage, so it's not like he's super likely to die or anything. But he shouldn't be doing this, and he's slowly baiting the rest of our team forward. You'll notice that McCree is advancing in on their spawn as well. Winston's finally died. McCree's died as well. Like, there's nothing you can do to prevent this, right? Like, if your team go and do that, there's nothing you can do to stop them. Because, unfortunately, we as Moira do not have the ability to just yank people back to us on our own team. I feel like that's a hero that's going to come eventually. You know, you got, like, Roadhog Hook, but it only works on allies instead of enemies. That's kind of what I hope that the Junkertown Queen is going to do. I hope she's a tank that's got, like, Orisa-ish health, and she's like the antithesis to Roadhog. Roadhog's really about killing people. I hope that the Queen is really about, like, keeping people alive. And supporting them, so, like, she yanks people, her own teammates back. Now, there's the obvious thing that, well, what if my teammate is throwing, and they just keep yanking me off the cliff or something? You give them, like, the ability to choose where they're gonna land, right? You kind of, like, she, like, yanks them into the air, and then they got, like, half a second to decide where they're gonna land. Easy. Mitigated. Then you can even use it to try and, like, re-engage a fight if you really wanted to. You could, like, what would be a really good example? I'm trying to think of an example with a tank here. Like, Reinhardt charges in, kills one person, yank him back out. Now he can resume being Reinhardt, and then goes back in again. And you just keep yanking him out. Synergy. It would have to have, like, a fucking 15-second cooldown so that you couldn't, like, do something like that, because that'd be really obnoxious if it was, like, a fucking, like, 7-second cooldown, and just, like, Reinhardt's just charging in on cooldown trying to kill people. You'd have to give it, like, a really long cooldown, but that would be cool. I look forward to the day we have a hook that works on allies. It's gonna come eventually. Like, I don't think that's something that's even necessarily too far off. Maybe not even a tank. Could be a defense hero. They set up, like, some kind of anchor or something, and then yank you back. I don't know, whatever. So you can see we won this team fight because we had Valkyrie and Tac Visor, and that was enough, even though 2 of our team tried to throw. Is how the game is sometimes. So, Mercy just died, and a bunch of people are really low, so we try to use Coalescence. Unfortunately, we're not really in a great position to use Coalescence, because we can't really aim it through our team conveniently because of the way they're organized right now. So, here's what we do, right? It's at this moment in time, I would be like, I'm gonna have to use Coalescence in this fight. So, what we do instead is we gotta try and get into a position quickly that's still good, that we can use Coalescence from, that will hit most of our team. And as you can see, our team are gathering up, like, in the tunnel. So if we are, like, over here, we're not gonna be able to hit them realistically. So we wait for Doomfist to be, like, closer to landing, fade around the corner, and then we start using Coalescence over here. We're still far away, we're still safe, but we can aim the Coalescence down the tunnel and hit our entire team and their entire team. Whereas if we're over here, all we can really do is hit, like, a couple of people at a time, unless they start really grouping up. So we, like, can swing around the corner with Fade and then use Coalescence. Because we're using Coalescence regardless, so it's not like we can use Fade again anyway. We can go around there and then, like, hit as many people with it as possible. Because this is, like, the thing with Coalescence, is you're trying to hit as many people on both teams as possible. And a lot of that revolves around finding, like, a good angle to actually use it in. And, like, rotating around the edge of the team fight so that you can actually, like, get a good angle to hit as many people as possible with. So, as you can see, they have a lot of ultimates right now, and we have already started losing momentum. We don't regain momentum from this position. It's not realistic, because they got a bunch of ultimates, they've almost capped it, so they're just going to start ulting people as we come back out, and we're not actually going to get to actually contest the objective. Unfortunately, unless you've got a lot of ultimates to spare as well, you don't regain control during that thing. Sometimes you can if you're on a 2 CP map, because you just switch to a bunch of stalling heroes and just drag it out forever. But Numbani, not quite 2 CP enough for that one to work. Well, it is close to being 2 CP enough, but not quite. So now we have to attack Numbani. We see that they have a Symmetra. We just took that Symmetra ball on the face. We fade forward to, like, catch up with people. I mean, nothing's realistically going to happen to us out here, so fair enough. We decide we aren't going to go upstairs, because if they have a Symmetra, walking through that doorway is going to be really fucking hard. So we decide that we're going to go around the side instead. I assume that's the reason anyway, because that should be the reason. So we, like, that's kind of a scary fade, because we are fading, like, really close to the entire enemy team. But at the same time, if we don't take that fade, we're probably not going to actually be able to do anything to help our team, really, anyway, so... So a lot of our team really getting fucked up down there. So if we're going to use the orb right here, this, you know, you don't really want to aim the orb down, because then it's going to bounce back up again and not do very much. But, like, it's also going to bounce across the point. Like, have it... Try and, like, bounce it off the wall. Like, you know, sometimes with Moira, you gotta do some geometry or some trigonometry really fucking quick. Try and, like, get it bouncing off these walls, because then you'll get it to hang around your team as much as possible. And I mean, like, these are curved surfaces, so it's gonna immediately, like, start bouncing off somewhere else. But if you can get it to go, like, tunk, tunk, like, tunk, tunk, like, it still spent more time around your team than just throwing it straight at the point. And, it probably ends up using up most of the healing anyway, because our entire team is kind of getting fucked up in that general area. In general, you don't want to bounce it off the ground, because it's going to immediately go up again, but we were on an elevated surface at the time, so it's kind of happened. So Mercy's built up Valkyrie really fucking quickly during this team fight, which is great news. And their DPS are Symmetra Doomfist. So they haven't really been doing a great job of fending us off, because they don't have any big money ultimates. We totally didn't need to use Transcendence for this Coalescence for this team fight, but we do use it to just kill Mercy as quickly as possible, so fair enough, honestly. Like, the way the team fight's going, you probably don't need to use Coalescence, but it does also kind of, like, guarantee it at the same time, so... And it charges fast, so... It's not the end of the world, but we probably didn't need to use Coalescence for that team fight. But, as you can see, we're already a quarter of the way to having another Coalescence built up anyway, and the team fight literally just ended. So, and it's not like you need ults to capture the street phase, right? You know? Street phase is, it's not exactly a solid diamond wall. Someone not that long ago was like, why do the teams in the Overwatch League hold the street phase for so long? Because they're fucking professional players that are actually organized and good at the video game. That's why. If you watch, they also, games on Gibraltar tend to be really sad as well for the attacking team, but, usually not quite so much the case in, competitive. So, as you can see, the street phase of Numbani is currently happening, where we have, not really seen much of the enemy team. We've managed to build up to 69% ult charge, so we're going to have that for the next actual team fight, which is probably going to be right around this tunnel, if they actually regroup quickly enough. They've had time to regroup and get back out here, but it's quite scary to try and run up and touch the point once it gets that close, and Winston gives it a try, but all that ends up happening is he almost dies. If we threw our damage orb a little bit sooner, we might have killed him, because he did drop really fucking low. You know, just throw it up the alleyway way sooner, because he does drop, like, really fucking low. So the damage orb might have been enough to actually kill Winston. And if Winston dies right there, like, it'll be a lot harder for them to actually slow us down, especially since we're building up ults at this point. So Doomfist used his ult. We're going to use Transcendence right now. That's fair enough. Unfortunately, they do all just start scampering away immediately. We end up having to use most of it to try and keep Winston alive. We could have tried to kill somebody with it, but Winston was going to die if we didn't focus on him. So, like, realistically, we've lost this team. Scary. Realistically, we've lost this team fight by this point, because our team are, like, really fucking low. But we do just kind of, like, stop trying to heal Genji there. Could have faded after him and used tried to heal him and then used the orb to keep us alive. We might have been scared of Doomfist. Well, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and assume we were playing around Doomfist punching us, and that's why we gave up on Genji. So, Soldier's using Tac Visor right now. We almost have Coalescence built up again because we've been doing a lot of healing during this period. And Moira does a lot of healing. That's her thing. She does a lot of healing. So I would have used the healing orb sooner there because I really don't want Mercy to die, and she gets really close to dying. Because if we lose Mercy now, like, it might not be the end of the world, but it will make it a lot harder for us to win this push. Like, I'd throw the orb sooner just to make sure she doesn't die. And we're already basically got Coalescence, so we're not so concerned about getting as much ult charge out of our orb as possible right now. So we've got Coalescence now for this push, and we should have just, like, already used it. Like, oh, no, the email specifically mentioned being afraid of layering support ultimates over each other. Coalescence isn't one you have to really worry about that one with so much. Like, especially, like, Coalescence and Valkyrie. Neither ult is, like, a massive defensive ultimate, right? Like, they're okay, they're both defensive ultimates in a way, but it's not like you're layering... Like, if you layer Sound Barrier and Transcendence over each other, that's fucking awful, obviously, but you don't have to worry about it so much with Coalescence. Like, there are even situations where you would use Coalescence while Transcendence is happening, or you would use Transcendence while Coalescence is already happening. So you don't have to worry about it so much with Moira, because her ult still has the aggressive component to it, and a very fucking long range. And Valkyrie's not, it's not like, you know, it's not like Transcendence defensive or anything like that. So, we are going to use it now, we want to fucking kill that Doomfist right there. Where was Soldier? Where did Soldier get beaten to death? Oh, he's up there. He's just getting fucked in the corner upstairs. That's unfortunate for old man Morrison over there. He's fucking beaten to death by a fucking monkey. So, we've lost this team fight. Like, we haven't lost the team fight yet, but, like, we've lost this team fight. Like, our whole team is, like, limping around the battlefield. We don't really have any ultimates to use. We already lost our main DPS. We've lost the team fight. Sometimes you can lose the team fight really just flat out, like they got 6 ultimates, we got none, we lose the team fight. If you look at it and you're like, down a person and our whole team is wounded, it's like, we've lost the team fight. It's not strictly impossible to win the team fight from that position, but, you know, it's not exactly a huge percentage chance. So, you know, I'm just thinking about the question in the email related to the stats a little ahead of time, and I'm like, I feel like we're doing a lot of healing. Like, I don't, like, I'm not gonna talk about it now. So we lost Mercy really soon, then we lost Genji. We lost this team fight. At least their Winston is using his ultimate on this, and their Moira used her ultimate as well. So now we have, more resources than them coming into this fight, hopefully. They even just lost Moira right as the fight is resetting, so that's really bad for them, and now Winston's dead. So now, yeah, we want to catch up to them as soon as possible. And I would probably just already be using Coalescence because I'm like, I just want to try and keep this momentum going through because they lost people really soon, and I want to try and keep the momentum going through. But as we can see, the fight is going well regardless, so we didn't need to use Coalescence right there anyway. It's just one of those, like, Coalescence can be used as like a tempo ult quite frequently, where you can use it before a fight has even started, or like really early into a fight, just because it makes the enemy team, like, even though it's not a scary offensive ultimate, it makes the enemy team retreat because they don't just want to sit there taking 70 damage per second. And then your team can go in off of the damage harder because of your healing is 140 per second, plus the regen, because Coalescence applies that as well. So you can use Coalescence just like as a tempo ult really, really often, especially since it charges so quickly. So Reaper had his ultimate, and he didn't get very big returns off of it. That's a fair enough time to use the healing orb, because a lot of people are low, and we don't want people to die, because, like, this is our last push. We don't get to reset off of this one, so we just want to make sure we keep people alive. So Reinhardt's around. He's been swinging for a while. Like, he's going to be getting close to having Earth Shatter, so we want to be ready to dodge that. We just had to use it to get away from him, which is less than ideal. If we go back, I'm pretty sure we could have just been standing further back earlier than that. Yeah, because, like, Reinhardt's swinging around the side. Like, these people are too deep for you to realistically heal as Moira. Like, I would just have been stepping back. I would just, like, step back sooner and then throw the healing orb after these people so that you can heal. Because you can't really walk across a team fight as Moira very freely. So I would have just walked back, thrown the healing orb at them to heal on the other side of the fight, and then keep Fade so that, like, that doesn't happen right there. And we died while we have Coalescence up, which is, of course, really fucking sad as well. You don't want to use Fade if you don't have to, and you know, if there's a fight happening on both sides of the enemy team, you can't really just go through the enemy team as Moira, because you can't fade through them, because then you used your escape to go in, which is not a good idea. And you can't just walk past the enemy team. So if a fight's happening on two sides, you can just throw the healing orb at the other side of the fight, so that, like, they're getting healed, at least somewhat. And then you don't have to actually, like, expose yourself. There are some situations in which throwing the healing orb is correct. I will rescind some earlier statements I've made about the healing orb, because I've basically always said before there's, like, only 3 reasons to do it, which is to keep yourself alive during a duel, or if you need self-healing, just in general. If you can't reach somebody in time, the orb flies faster than you, or if a lot of people are bunched up and they need healing, like right now. Other reasons to use the healing orb are: there's a fight happening on both sides of the fight, you can use the healing orb to heal the other side of the fight without exposing yourself. And if you are low on your resource, you can just throw a healing orb around your team. And then, while the healing orb is bouncing around, you can be draining people to recharge your resource. So there are, you know, I can admit when I'm wrong. There are more reasons to use the healing orb than I have previously said. But the damage orb is still where it's at. I still don't have the actual image ready to go, because I did just reflexively push my image button, and it didn't work again, because I still haven't set it up. This is what happens when your computer dies. So, like, this is a bad start for them. As you can see, we're pretty, we've got some nice quality cheese comps going here. They've had Doomfist all game, so they're probably likely to have Doomfist again. Doomfist is very terrible against this team composition. Like, you can build up Meteor Strike and try to, like, land on the Bastion, but I mean, good luck building Meteor Strike at the same time. So, this is, you know, because they've had a Doomfist this entire time, they're probably still going to have Doomfist. Doomfist's terrible against this team comp. Winston's terrible against this team comp. They've also had Winston the entire time, basically. So, they come around the corner, they immediately, like, throw away most of their lives, and then their team comp is bad at dealing with this composition as well, so they aren't gonna be making much progress today. It's not how it is. And this is the point in the game I'm always super stoked about, because now we can't lose. We can only not win, which is not the same thing. This is like, Ah, fucking, alright. I don't care if it was like a 20-minute game that ended in a draw. That's better than losing. Some people are like, I would have rather lost. No, you fucking wouldn't, you liar. I've seen people, and it's been a draw, they're like, I'd rather have lost, at least then not everyone would have wasted their time. No. If you lost, you would have absolutely preferred to have drawed. Like, come on. I hate when people say that. I would have rather just lost. No. That's objectively false. You definitely would not have rather lost. I hate that shit. I hate the Overwatch community. Either way, we can't lose now, which is great. So they're probably gonna do the same thing or even more. They say they've got Symmetra again. Like, this is the situation I expect to come around this corner, and I expect to see Symmetra, Torbjorn, and Bastion. Like, I expect to see the whole full Monty right here as we come around this corner. Do they have a Bastion up there? We see they got an Orisa. Do they also have a Bastion? Yeah, they got a Bastion. Of course they got a Bastion. It's how it goes. If they see the cheese and then it's like, fuck, we can't win anymore. It's definitely gonna happen. Oh, that's true. They are still gonna have the Doomfist as well, of course. So they're gonna have that issue. Don't just, like, walk at a dude. Like, don't just, like, walk at her. Like, I know you want her dead, but, like, here's the thing. You as Moira only do 50 damage per second. She's got Fortify going, and she's being healed by Mercy, which is 60 health per second. You don't kill the Orisa. You just end up exposing yourself to the team. You just end up, like, throwing your life away on the Orisa, and now you're not here to support the team during the fight. The fight's already going our way, so, like, we're gonna get back in time, especially since that happened, but, like, we just, like, threw our life away on that Orisa for, like, no reason, just because we were greedy for that kill. It's very easy to get greedy for the kill as Moira, but you gotta resist it. You gotta remember you're a main healer. You're not a DPS, you don't even do that much damage. Like, you gotta be... Unsurprisingly, that's the play of the game. You gotta be restrained, you know. So, you know, he's gonna scamper around the corner, and here it comes. Excellent self-restraint to not just go straight for the Bastion. He got the quad kill rather than beelining for the Bastion. Good job, Junkrat. Alright, so, the other question in the email was related to stats, which is why it made more... Stats relative to this game, which is why it made more sense to talk about at the end of the game. In this game, I feel like my Healy Limbs numbers were relatively low by the end, but while playing, I felt like I was doing pretty well, mostly in trying to keep Mercy alive to do the heavy healing. Is this a case of stats don't matter, or is it indicative that I could be doing more to contribute? What are your actual stats? We don't see that at the end. Did you push tab? What are you, like, what were your stats by the end of it? I gotta actually look for it now. I know. Probably pushed it while we were on our way back. Most people would. Maybe not. Because if we're gonna talk about our stats being relatively low, I do want to know what the stats are. Like, the short answer here is gonna be like, no, I don't think your stats. I think this is a stats don't matter situation, because I feel like we were healing people perfectly fine throughout the game. Like, I don't feel like your limbs. It's really easy to get high limbs as Moira, so I can't imagine those were dreadfully low. And it felt like we were doing a lot of healing throughout the game. Like, I wasn't watching this like, oh, we are, like, playing DPS Moira, you know? But if we're going to talk about stats, I do want to, like, try and see the stats. We don't push tab at, like, any point here, do we? Come on, push tab. Push tab, even for just half a fucking second. Come on. I know, thrilling content right here, isn't it? We didn't push tab. No, I don't feel like this, like, the short answer is still no. I feel like we were doing fine throughout the game. Like, I don't feel like our healing was subpar. And, like, more, again, yeah, like, if you're playing Moira and the other healer is Anna or Mercy, you can let them do most of the healing, and you can focus more on doing damage, because you, as Moira, do more damage than Mercy or Anna, so You can kind of let them deal most of the healing, and then you can go off and kind of do more damage than you would be able to if it was like a Zenyatta or a Lucio. But, like, this is a long game, so, like, stats kind of get skewed a little bit during these. Like, Mercy did 25k basically healing. Like, that is far above average for that Mercy player, because this game went 4 rounds, right? Like, I was watching the game, I didn't feel like we weren't healing people, and I felt like, alright, maybe our limbs are kind of low, because we threw out, like, a few healing orbs, but, like, I don't feel like the stats were that bad. And in general, I don't think stats are really worth worrying about, because they can be skewed so heavily in each individual game. I think the only stat that is worth tracking is deaths, because deaths are, if your deaths are lower, you have objectively had a bigger impact in the game, because you're alive more often, so you've been able to partake in the video game more often. That's the only stat I think is worth tracking. If you're playing, like, a really aim-dependent hero, like Widowmaker or McCree, tracking your accuracy might be important to you, but even then, like, you have to weigh it against the game, because if the enemy team is like quad tank, your accuracy is going to get inflated, because there are so many things that are easy to hit. So, like, if it's like quad tank, a 60% accuracy is not actually as fantastic as it might seem, because it was really easy to hit them. Whereas if their team is like fucking 5 flankers, right? If you got 40% accuracy, that's actually fantastic, because the enemy team is largely very hard to hit, and you still spent a lot of time hitting them. So, like, even with accuracy, like, you have to be honest with yourself on, like, what happened in the game, you know? Deaths are where it's at, stat tracking-wise. Nothing, I can't think of anything offhand that happened recurringly throughout the game, because we've been here for 45 minutes. So thank you very much for watching. If you did, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, join our Discord, and you can ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them. Check out Radon's channel. Again, I'll link it in the description. You can check it out. Overwatch, hooray, good video game, terrible community. Fucking trash they all are. Except, you know, you're fine. Like, you're fine. But, like, the Overwatch community is terrible. You're fine. Not the Overwatch community, though. And I hope you found the video helpful.